Ages passed and generations came and went. Then, just as promised, Allah sent Muhammad as his final prophet. His coming was foretold, his character was renowned, and his birth was noble. At that time the world was a fractured place. People were divided, their goals were different, and their paths were scattered. Some loved Allah but misunderstood His creation, some twisted His names, and others turned away from Him completely. But through Muhammad, Allah guided them out of confusion and brought them from ignorance into light. Eventually, Allah chose to bring His beloved Prophet near to Him, considering him too dignified for this world of trials. So He drew Muhammad to Himself with honor. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him and his family. What did the Prophet leave behind for us? He left what all prophets leave for their people, a clear path and a guiding light. He didn't leave us in the dark. He left us the book of our Creator, the Holy Quran. This book clarifies everything, what is permitted and what is forbidden, our obligations and our choices. It explains which rules replace older ones, what is allowed and what is required, the specific details and the general principles. It's filled with lessons and examples, both long and short, clear and mysterious. The Quran details its own meanings and clarifies its own obscurities. Some of its verses contain knowledge that is essential for us to learn, while others contain details that it's okay not to know. The Quran also works hand in hand with the Prophet's traditions, his sunnah. Sometimes something might seem obligatory in the book, but the Prophet's actions show us a different way. Other times an action might seem required by the sunnah, but the book gives us a choice. There are even rules that were for a specific time and no longer apply. The prohibitions also vary. There are major sins that lead to severe consequences, and minor ones for which we can hope for forgiveness. And there are deeds where even a small amount is accepted, but we are encouraged to do more. In the same way, Allah made the pilgrimage, the Hajj, an obligation for those who are able. It's a journey to His sacred house, a focal point that draws people in, like animals flocking to a spring of fresh water. Allah made it a symbol of our humility before His greatness and our recognition of His majesty. He chose from His creation people who would hear His call, answer it, and affirm His word. They stand in a place like the prophets of old and resemble the angels who circle the divine throne, seeking the benefits of worship and rushing toward His promised forgiveness. Allah made the Kaaba an emblem for Islam and a place of respect for all who turn to it. He made the pilgrimage a duty and a right He has upon us, which we are responsible to fulfill. As He says in the Quran, pilgrimage to the house is a duty owed to Allah by all who can afford a way to it. And as for those who deny, surely Allah is self-sufficient, independent of all worlds. So where does our journey with faith, our din, begin? The very first step is knowledge of Allah. You can call it in obedience or a code of life, but either way, if the mind has no concept of Allah, there can be no obedience, no following of a code. Without a destination, there's no point in starting the journey. Without a goal, our efforts have no meaning, but our very nature, our inner compass, guides us toward a higher power. This impulse to submit and obey leads us to a sense of the divine. And once we feel that connection, we realize we are not completely free to do whatever we want. There are limits and guidelines. These very guidelines are what we call religion or deen, and it all starts with knowing Allah and acknowledging His existence. The path to this knowledge has stages. The first stage is simply forming an idea of God in our minds. This might come from our own inner sense of searching or from hearing about Allah from others. This initial image, this thought, is what pushes us to think deeper and seek more knowledge. But some people, perhaps out of laziness or because of their environment, stop right there. They have the image, but they don't seek to verify it. And so they remain deprived of true knowledge. However, for the one who is moved by this initial idea, the journey continues. They feel the need to think, to reflect. This leads them to the next stage, searching for the Creator by looking at the creation. Every painting points to a painter. Every effect points to a cause. When you look around, you don't find a single thing that came into being by itself. You don't see a footprint without a walker or a building without a builder. So how can we imagine that this vast sky with its sun and moon, or this earth with its vibrant grasses and flowers, could have come into existence without a creator? After observing the world and the perfect order in all of creation, you can't help but conclude that there must be a creator for this universe of endless variety. Existence cannot come from non-existence. Something cannot sprout from nothing. The universe itself is the greatest proof of its maker. Thank you for watching. If this reflection resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you in the next video.